Welcome to Whining and Dining with Jim White here on Vocal. It's the program dedicated to introducing you to the people who make the eats and drinks you love. We have some great guests here for you today. Dotty Griffith is back, our guest gourmet. Howdy.
Howdy.
And you have a new title, food editor of the Katy Trail Weekly.
That is correct.
Pretty exciting. Well, you'll have to tell us some good news along the Katy Trail.
We try to every week.
And we want to show you our guest chef, Morris Salerno, one of my favorites. How are you?
Hi, Dottie. I'm doing fantastic.
You're looking great. Some great traveling coming up for you.
Yes, I'm getting to go to Malaysia in July with Patrick Mitchell, who's representing the United States in a global chefs competition.
We want to hear all about it.
Thank you.
Okay? I'm glad you're here with us on the show today. You know, Dottie, part of the mission of this program is to bring folks news you can use about whining and dining. And we know that as food editor of the Katy Trail Weekly, you're doing some mighty fine whining and dining. Is there a new spot, a fun find that you'd like to recommend to folks?
Well, I think there's so much happening on Lower Greenville right now. I know Rapscallion really kicked it off a few years ago. And Laurel Tavern, I believe is the name of it, is opening down there. So really, Lower Greenville has become a new hot spot.
Unbelievable.
I know. You know, it was dead for so long because of all the traffic problems and construction, and suddenly it is just happening.
Amazing how they figured all that out.
And also along Henderson Avenue, so much going on down there. As somebody who lives in Old East Dallas, it's kind of thrilling. And of course, then there's my personal neighborhood favorite, E-Bar. Although I will tell you, E-Bar is hopping so much now, it's hard to get in.
I know.
As I think it was Yogi Berra would say, nobody goes there anymore. It's so crowded.
It's so crowded. Well, I will tell you this, and I don't think Eddie would mind, but we often call Grubhub for E-Bar, so keep that in mind, folks, because it is some of the finest Tex-Mex you will ever put your mouth around. Yep. It is so good. Now, switching from Tex-Mex to great Italian specialties, Morris, you have just been such a legacy chef, a mainstay, a popular restaurateur for all these many years in Flower Mound. It's like 25 years you're celebrating with your restaurants. Congratulations.
Well, our first restaurant, Salerno's in Flower Mound, is 33 years old.
Oh, my goodness. I forgot.
And then the Grotto Bistecca, we turn 25 next year.
Okay.
Our upscale steakhouse.
Well, see, you're much younger than I am, so I forgot about that. I think I was in Chicago when you first got Salerno's going. Now, you run that with your cousin, Mike.
Yes, Michael.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then there's also a big pizza business associated with
Well, that's our corporation, the Salerno Pizza Company.
Oh, okay.
We started that in 84.
All right. So do you sell those outside of the restaurant?
No way.
You don't want to kind of put that online? Or
It has to be done in a restaurant.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Special.
So what's your secret oven? I mean, how do you turn out those great pizzas? I mean, they're
Old style oven,
Mm-hmm.
Slate. Yeah. One of these days, I'm going to get me a brick oven with a wood burning.
Yeah.
Yes. That's our new concept we're thinking about doing.
Well.
One of these days.
Yeah. Well.
You're never too old to open another restaurant.
Hey, talk to me about,
I think so.
Yeah, the Italian steak tradition and how it differs maybe from the typical, or what we think of as a typical Texas steakhouse.
Right. Well, I've been doing this for so long. I have such great relationships with my my purveyors, and the meat I get is all prime, and then we let it age in our refrigerator for about 2 weeks, which really helps. And before we get it, it's already been aged for 3 weeks. And then just a special seasoning. I have a special marinade. It's called a Moggia. It's third generation from Sicily. We steep it outside, and we marinate our steak in there just for a couple of seconds, give it a little flavor, finish it with our seasoning, and then on a hot open fire. It's amazing. How it comes
I'm
out.
sure you're not going to give me that recipe, but can you give me some idea of what is in that marinade that can impart flavor in a couple of 3 minutes?
There's a lot of garlic in there, basil, and of course extra virgin olive oil, and that's about as far as I'm going to go.
Okay.
Okay, well, that's a pretty good start.
Yeah.
See, Dottie was brave enough to ask you that. I never asked chefs to reveal their special ingredients, but she can get away with it.
Off mic, you do.
Morris, everybody in Denton County and all the chef community and the people who've been to your restaurants are loyal to you for a reason. But there are people who don't know you. So let's talk a little bit about your background, just to set the stage for folks who are just perhaps hearing your name or hearing about Bistecca for the first time. I know you were part of that a great team of folks that came through the Fairmont in the early days.
Yes.
I mean, talk a little bit about that time.
70s.
Yeah, and kind of how you got going in this fun, wonderful world and making these contributions.
I was born and raised in Dallas. Grew up on Swiss Avenue.
Oh, good for you.
Was a Lakewood guy.
Yeah.
Went to school around there. Went to Holy Trinity over on Oak Lawn. When I was about 8, I already knew I wanted to become a chef for some reason back then. But we didn't have chef schools then. But my stint at the Fairmont was twice. And in between, I opened a restaurant. But the Fairmont was the place to be.
Was Lombardi there then, or Adelmo?
Lombardi had just left.
Okay.
He had opened his restaurant on McKinney.
Oh, yeah. The famous house.
He had left a pyramid Venetian room area. But I was like the only American in the whole kitchen as far as supervisors go. Everybody else was from Europe. Back then, there wasn't really American chefs. There was not American chefs. Any fine dining, hotel, country club, restaurant was run by somebody from Europe.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, where did you train? You didn't just walk into the Fairmont Hotel one day.
I got my first training at Tanglewood on Texoma when I was 17 years old.
I'm not familiar with that.
Yes.
Oh, is that a country club?
Yeah.
thing? Okay.
Yeah, it was.
It's been there forever.
Fancy.
It was a
place.
big deal. Or
Big
it still
deal then,
is.
yeah.
It's still a big deal,
there.
but it was a big deal back then too.
Okay.
And I worked under Richard DeLacy. I worked under Carl Wenzel, a German chef.
Yeah.
And then I got my stint at the Fairmont, and it was like going to culinary school.
Ah, yes.
And we had just started the apprenticeship program here at El Centro, and I was working with some El Centro students, and I was lucky enough to get some literature from them, and was kind of going through their program on my own. It was really kind of fun.
That?
Yeah.
So you were sort of auditing the program,
Yes.
yeah, getting ahead. That's amazing.
Kind of different than that rigorous apprenticeship program that so many of the chefs, the European chefs, went through, where they were almost farmed out as children.
Yeah,
to
14 years old, they're gone learning how to cook under some pretty strict conditions.
Yeah.
And that was kind of carried on there at the Fairmont too. It was the old school chef isn't around as much as anymore,
Mm-hmm.
and I was that way. But you have to change with the times, and it's more open. You're working as a team now with the front of the house, and you're a little bit more lenient with your apprentices you have in your kitchen nowadays.
Yeah, I guess some of the things that we see in reality television, food cooking and so forth, with the flinging of pans and the tossing of bad words across the kitchen, maybe doesn't go too far in terms of building rapport and team spirit in these
All
days.
about teamwork. It's all about everybody getting along, being happy. My main goal at my restaurant is for the front of the house and the back of the house to work as a team, and everybody in the kitchen to be happy, and whatever they need, I make it happen. And it's about putting your arm around people. Tell them to have a good day. Make them have a good day. Yeah. Make them feel like they're wanted, and tell them they're doing a great job. It goes wonders how far that goes nowadays.
The art of the ossobuco. And,
Oh yes, I have the best ossobuco in the whole world.
Let's talk a little bit about that for people who haven't had that succulent dish and need to come and try
Nice
it.
built shank.
Yeah.
I do a 3-inch ossobuco. We braise it for about 7 to 8 hours,
Ooh.
about 225 to 230 degree. And now it has to be braised correctly too. We have to have the right liquid in there, the right amount of vegetables, the mirepoix. And then after it's out, You have to cool it down properly in its juices. And then next day or so, it's ready to be reheated as per order and served over the right risotto or the right pasta with it. Right now we're doing risotto. And a nice sauce with that. It goes perfect. It's unbelievable. People that eat ossobuco, they order it because they order it everywhere they go, everywhere around the world.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm really interested on how they feel about my ossobuco when they come in the restaurant. And we're usually in the top 3. So I'm happy.
I will tell you, one of my first opportunities in New York to try Lydia Bastianich, famed restaurant.
New York.
I tried the ossobuco, and I liked yours better.
Thank you. I love her cooking show, though.
She is wonderful. She is fabulous. But, just saying.
Full of life. She's an amazing woman. She is an amazing woman.
Yeah, she is. So let's talk a little bit about, you've got a team. So who's the sous chef? Who's turning the dishes out every night?
Juan Dominguez.
Okay. How long has he's been with you? You're
been with me going on 25 years.
See, look at that. You put
your
arm around him.
I have Jesus Sendejas.
Mm-hmm.
He's been with me over 30 years. Started with me at Salerno's. And I have Hector, his brother, has been with me 27 years.
See, so you got family cooking going on in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So did these guys learn the trade by coming up through your kitchen,
Right.
or had they trained elsewhere
No.
and come to you?
No, they learned by working with me. And we are like, it's amazing how I have 2 families. I have my work family, and it's amazing the people. I couldn't do this without their dedication, their help, their love. And then my manager, Stacy's been with me for over 10 years now. And she doesn't just manage the restaurant, she manages me. So
and that takes a management skill, Morris.
That's a full-time job in and of itself, I bet.
I need a valet. That's what I need.
Could you please have the car sent around? We need Mr. Salerno to be picked up and taken to his next destination. Morris, how did you get the designation? Let's talk about the Epicurean World Master Chefs Society. So how did that designation come about? Is that an official designation that you have to earn by doing something more than auditing?
You have to be invited.
Yeah.
We started a chapter here 26 years ago in Dallas. It's out of London. It's a European organization.
Mm-hmm.
I've been associated with it since it's a startup here in Dallas. Patrick Mitchell, too, who's between the last 27 years, we've competed all over the world, from Budapest to Thailand, Germany, South America, UK, and Sweden. I mean, we've competed in competitions where we've brought home the world platter 4 times.
That's amazing. Now, this is the upcoming trip that you
The upcoming
touched on.
trip is just Patrick Mitchell,
Okay.
and he's representing the United States. It's competing against 20 other chefs from around the world, and I'm just helping him. He has an apprentice, Juan,
Mm-hmm.
and Juan works at the Fort Worth Club with Chef Tim, who's Prefontaine, which is unbelievable competitor Olympic-wise. And Patrick's been practicing, and he had to win the United States to compete, to represent the United States, and he did. So it's amazing.
You've mentioned Patrick, and of course we all know who he is,
Right.
but he's with Benny Keith now.
Right, he's a corporate chef.
Corporate chef, and he was chef at the Marriott in
Marriott
Madison.
Quorum for a long time.
Long time.
He was with Marriott over 20 years, I believe.
And so when you and Patrick go, and this is the Malaysia trip?
Right.
Okay. How does that work? Is that kind of a mystery box of food? You have to make a dish, or
He
what?
has his ingredients, his
Mhm.
main ingredients. Everything else he has to pick out of a pantry, or he gets to take in a couple of items. And he has it's a 4 or 5 hour competition. So he has to do 4 courses, 12 plates of each course.
And so you'll be sort of backing him up and getting these
I'm
things
just going to
ready.
make sure he gets there on time.
Okay, you're just there as the support
Make
chef.
sure his knives are sharp, and
So how do
sure
you
he's dressed correctly.
practice and get ready for a competition? Do you make the same dishes over and over again to try to perfect them? You tweak them. What is
Dottie,
that he's been
it's-
practicing?
it's-
How does it happen?
It's amazing. You have a format that you use, how you want the plate, each course to look, and it evolves. You think you have it. This is the way I want to do it.
Mhm.
The next time you practice it, you try something different. And from that first plate, from about 6-7 months ago, the veal course you're doing, and just look at it, the way it's going to be presented at the actual competition, it's like day and night.
Just a constant evolution. and
Constant
tweaking.
evolution, tweaking. And then you have the time limits that you have to worry about. You have to make the timeline, and everything has to be precise, the amount of time each item takes, how long each course takes. There's a lot that goes into it. It's enormous.
And isn't it, correct me if I'm wrong, and I probably am, a 4-year cycle on the Culinary Olympics that you guys have
Right.
won before? That's the whole Epicurean World Master Chef competition.
Yes.
Is that
We go represent Texas. We've done that twice now. We also do the World Cup in Luxembourg. Patrick and I each won individual golds there a couple years ago, and it's amazing when you get a gold medal, an international gold medal.
Yeah.
It's a whole nother ball game. So I'm happy about
And you've had quite a bit of success. You want to mention any of the other men or women on the team? You've got, how many are there? A couple of dozen or more?
Oh,
great
Dave Sokol from Brook Hollow Country Club. Salvatore Jesulou from Urban Crust.
Oh, yeah.
He does a great job. He's amazing. I don't know. I'm going to forget somebody's name.
Okay.
So I'm stopping there.
Yeah, this is like the Oscars.
Yeah.
And speaking of early inspirations, what got you so interested at an early age? Was this a family connection? You were standing there at the stove in your home, or how'd you get excited about this?
I come from a very large family.
Mm-hmm.
There's 9 children in my family. I have 8 brothers, sisters. My mother, I'm the second oldest, so I was kind of brought up cooking, helping feed the family. My grandmother on my father's side was a great cook. And she came over. She was from Sicily. Unbelievable. So I had this, and I saw that passion about food from her, and that passion about cooking. And it just rubbed off on me. Because this is the hardest, to be a chef, it's probably one of the hardest jobs in the world. But if you have the passion for it, it's not work. It's just love.
Yeah, exactly.
I never go to work. I just do what I love to do, and I get paid for it. So it's fantastic.
Yeah. Now, I'm sure you're familiar with the classic motion picture Big Night.
Yes.
Yeah. So is your food, how would you characterize it? Is it Italian immigrant recipes or are these old world recipes? I mean, what's the Italian cooking style that describes bistecca and the Salerno style?
A lot of those recipes are my grandmother's recipes.
Okay. So old world
Yes.
cooking. Okay.
And what's amazing is she would give those recipes to my mother,
Mm-hmm.
but they never came out like going to grandma's on Sunday and eating. So, it just wasn't the same. So I would go over to her house when she would be making Sunday dinner to my grandmother's and start from the beginning with her, the way she chopped the vegetables and then the way she measured. She would measure things in her hand.
Pinch of
And
this,
I would take it
touch
out
of
of her
that.
hand and I would weigh it or put it in a cup, weigh how much it was or the amount. And that's the only way I figured out her sauce, her meatballs, her Italian sausage, her eggplant parmesan. That's the only way you could figure it out. So it worked.
So then, how have you managed to do 2 cookbooks? How do you translate those handfuls?
Most of my cookbooks, I mean, the two cookbooks I have right now are from 20-something years of cooking classes that I put on. On Saturdays, I put on a cooking class, probably about 8 or 10 a year I do.
Okay.
And all those recipes, or the majority of them, are out of those cooking classes.
So that's when you do use a teaspoon of this, a quarter cup of that, and
And what I tell everybody at the cooking class, make sure you bring your pen and pencil in with your recipes, and because they're going to change while I'm doing this. Because most of the recipes, 90% of them, I've never performed them before. I just wrote them down out of my head. This is what I want to try to do, and most of the time they work out. Every once in a while they don't. But
that's a key lesson, I think. Don't you agree, Dottie? For most cooks, to don't be tied to the page.
Oh, absolutely.
Experiment, have some fun.
I mean, unless you're baking. Now, of course, if you're baking, then you must measure precisely, or you've got no shot.
Oh, no,
but yeah, otherwise, to me, a recipe is just kind of a suggestion.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and people tell me, oh, I can't cook without a recipe. Well, you really could if you wanted to, but go ahead and start with a recipe, and then, you know, put a little of this and a little of that and a little less of this, a little more of that, and sort of make it your own. Mm-hmm. And it's, you know, recipes are not blueprints unless they're for baking.
And what's amazing is that's our style of cooking. You know, everything's done a la minute. Everything's done last minute. When you order a dish in our restaurant, it's not made. It's sitting there, cooled.
You didn't warm it up in the microwave.
Okay,
ready to be prepared.
You don't prep, you know, have a halfway done risotto that you then finish off and serve.
Oh, we have to make our basic risotto. But from that risotto turns into a portobello risotto, or a shrimp and asparagus risotto, or a vegetable risotto. Yeah, you have to, because that risotto takes forever.
Because it takes forever, yeah.
But everything is made last minute in a pan and put on a plate. It's the fish is seared, roasted in the oven. Steaks are all hand cut to order. It's just those little things. And I'm blessed that I have a crew that's been with me, and they know exactly how almost.
Because you may want to change it on them once they get it done.
They know exactly how I want it. Yeah. And what happened with my leg? I broke my leg, back in January.
I was going to ask you, this was a ski accident?
Yes, in France.
You debonair guy.
Oh, yeah.
So I saw my staff, everybody, the back of my cooks, my chefs, my waiters, my bartenders, everybody, because I was confined to my house for 2 months because they thought it might get infected or something. Mm-hmm. Anyway, they all stepped it up, and we probably had our best first quarter ever. And I'm at home. It's amazing.
So this means more off time to relax and travel and ski for Morris. Is this where you're going with this? No,
maybe not skiing.
So may not be on the slopes for a while.
Maybe not for a while.
Okay, pretty exciting.
Found out you're not totally indispensable, huh?
Yes,
always a shock.
It is, but God works in different ways, so it's pretty good.
It does. Morris, what advice do you have for a young chef starting out, or maybe a young restaurateur who's thinking about getting into the business?
I tell them, I do this quite often. I do career days all around Denton County in schools, and I preach to them. I tell them why not to become a chef.
Yeah,
the standing on your feet, the heat, the pressure, hours. But then I tell them why they want to become a chef. If they have that passion, that love for food, then they need to pursue it, because it's the most fantastic job in the world. And I want them to start as early age to go somewhere and work under a chef or in a kitchen somewhere and see if that's really what they want to do, and then to pursue it. Go to culinary school, because there's a lot of good ones out there. Try to become an apprentice, which is a great way to learn. Go to the CIA, which is the best way to do it, or Johnson & Wells, and you'll be happy. And all you have to do is go in early and stay late.
That's perfect. So now you mentioned the cooking classes. All of this information, I guess, is on your website at
yes.
Bistecca Steakhouse.com.
Okay.
Yeah. You are so wonderful. It is so good to see you, and you're moving around great. I know you'll be in the Alps again soon, only maybe not up on the slopes. So,
Yes.
So, Morris, thank you so much for coming
Thank
to
you,
be
Jim.
with us. It's delightful to have you here.
My pleasure.
And we're gonna do a little wine segment. Vicki Briley-White has promised to send us some regular contributions, and let's put some good wine with some of Morris Salerno's great food.
Hi, I'm Vicki Briley-White, inviting you to savor the flavor. Today we're at Jimmy's Food Store in East Dallas, that famous outpost for Italian food and wine. We're going to introduce you to Baron Alessandro da Sonnino. Alessandro, tell us about your wines and the changes you've implemented.
So my wines, I consider myself a classic producer in the Chianti region, so I would say I'm a Chianti producer. The winery lies in the very small appellation called Chianti Montespertoli, which is the smallest and I would say the most recent of the Chianti appellation. It's on the border of the Chianti Classico, southwest of Florence, 20 kilometers. And I basically produce red wines because Tuscany is a region for red wines, mainly made with Sangiovese grape, which is a classic, typical grape of Tuscany and of the Chianti. I can't let you taste it now, but it's something which is worth to taste because it's really very special. Well, my family is trying to make the traditional kind of wine, being most of it connected with the territory, because what makes really the wine different from the others is the soil where the grape is grown. So it's very important to have the best grape possible, the ripest as it could be, and then to touch the less you can in the cellar.
Talk about the history of your beautiful property.
My property is a family home, is a family estate. It's in the sense it's also a national monument of Italy. It has been there since the first buildings of the property were built in the 1300. It was originally a garrison, custom garrison between Florence and Volterra. Then, in the 16th century, became the house, the seat of the Machiavelli family, and they built the main part of the castle of the state. And in 1830 came through a wedding in my family, and I moved there with my wife in 1989. She basically decided to move there, so we started the restoration of the cellars, we started the restoration of the vineyards, we pulled down the old vines and we replaced with new clones, new plants, and we tried to keep some of the good things from the past in the cellars, but in the same time to restore them in a modern way. We move the wine from one tank to another, from one cellar to another. We always do it when the moon is rising. We don't do when the moon is going down, because now it seems something absolutely new. It's a modern fashion, but in reality it has always been like this with the old people working in the field. They knew this. It's always, and for me is sustainability. Try not to ruin, not to spoil, and do what you can get from your land, from your soil, without exaggerating.
You have a 0 mile restaurant.
We have a 0 mile. How you're very well informed. You know everything. You know more than me. We have a 0 mile restaurant because, as we don't have it. Actually, it's not a restaurant. It's an agriturismo. So it's connected with agriculture. So we can't sell or we can't produce anything which is not coming from the state or from a place nearby with the same philosophies. We have many visitors, very easy to come and visit us. It's very close to Florence, as I said. We have people that take care of the hospitality. You can go on the website, there is our email, phone, telephone number. There is a very nice lady called Sofia who is in charge. She runs the hospitality business. And there are nice ladies, they make the tour of the winery, tour of the cellars, in certain cases also tour of the house, and they give professional tasting. We have accommodation for the people that want to come and stay. Booking in advance, we can have people that come and stay for 3-4 days, minimum 3 days.
We're always looking for new ways to savor the flavor, so join us on Wining and Dining with Jim White. I'm Vicki Briley-White.
Well, another great show thanks to Morris Salerno, who was here with us, and Dotty Griffith, our guest gourmet. You're a marvelous, marvelous guest gourmet.
Well, always a pleasure, and just great to see Morris, and wish him good luck in Malaysia at the competition.
Absolutely. And folks, remember, we want to see you back next time on Wining and Dining with Jim White. And if anybody asks you what you're making for dinner, you be sure and tell them reservations at Bistecca. Go see Morris.